Hello all and welcome back. First off, I actually wanted to just say I am a little sick today, so if I sound a little different or you hear the odd sniffle now and again, that's why. But I wanted to cover in a little bit more detail, kind of a comparison of my full-size multi-tools. And I don't have any real constraints about weight or number of tools or any of that, but these are the ones that if I needed to get real work done, I'm gonna choose one of these. I have some cheaper ones that you may have seen in my overview video, but these are the ones I may go to first off. And I wanted to compare some of these in the larger realm of things, like the bigger things like pliers, knives, and some of the more common components. Some of these may have some specialty tools or things that differ a little bit. I may or may not cover those, but the end, I actually want to choose. Like if I had to pick one of these multi-tools to trust with a project, and I had to get rid of all the other ones, which one would I choose? And that's really what this is going to be all about. So if I had to pick one or recommend one for the only multi-tool I can have, which one am I going to pick? So, and I actually brought in the sheaths because that also actually plays a little bit of a factor in this. I wanted to talk about how I would carry these. So on the far right, I have the Leatherman rebar. This is a great multi-tool, I actually just drop this in my pocket typically. I don't belt carry this. It's actually quite small. I wear large size gloves, but I have pretty thin hands, and you can see that this is a pretty good size. A little bit more reminiscent of the original Leatherman tools. I love this multi-tool, but it has its limitations. Good tool set too. And then this is the Victorinox Swiss tool. This is the only this is the only large size multi-tool that I have from Victorinox, but I do have some of their other Swiss tools. I'm actually going to put the sheath next to it here. This one I carry in the leather, just the leather sheath. It's got some wear. It's pretty beat up. I've carried this one quite a bit. This is the Leatherman 300, the Super Tool 300. Very similar to the rebar, but look at the size difference on that. And that definitely plays a pretty big part in its capability too. But this really is a super tool. This one is another Leatherman. This is the Charge TTI. So I went back and forth in carrying this one with the pocket clip from the Wave here, but I actually find that I like carrying this in this specific belt sheath. This is actually meant for the rebar, but when I was carrying this, I really liked how fitted and slim this was, and that could go for this as well if I carried it. But the slim, the fit, the leather is good. It's got some wear on that. It really molded around this little bump out with the knife. It just kind of almost snaps in there like if it were Kydex, which is one of the great things about leather. And then I do have this on here, which is just the black Leatherman Wave. More so just these are relatively the same. Couple of differences, but they're basically the same tool. This one's just a little bit higher end. And then this one is the SOG multiplier. I actually don't know what the actual branded name of this one is, but it's their full-size multi-tool. So first, I wanted to kind of cover the overall fit and finish, right? So being a mid-grade tool, the actual fit and finish on the rebar is pretty good. Very little wobble. The only thing I didn't really like about this is, if you can see, the tool isn't really aligned, and I can't get it to, like, I can get it here, but it just has a little bit of play, and I don't really dig that, but it doesn't feel like it's weak necessarily. It just feels like maybe it got tweaked. But the pliers and everything are really good. So I would probably give this like a B plus on quality. Quality wise, this one overall, A plus. Fit and finish, phenomenal. It's got a real satisfying pop. I mean, fizz factor. Anyway, this got a really satisfying pop. Not super needle nose plier, but they're actually really nice pliers. Real heavy duty, very reminiscent of a kind of a standard plier head that you would get just on a normal pair of pliers. Not quite as needle nose as some of the other tools on here. 300. I would say A plus for this one as well. It doesn't have any of the alignment issues the rebar has. And I've used this quite a bit, so it's got a little loose on the handles, but I don't mind that. I carry it in the sheath anyway. I don't drop this brick into a pocket. Everything else very good, no wiggle at all. Pliers are sturdy. I've actually used the cutters, and there's like no sign of wear. Just some of the little oxide bits here have worn off, but in terms of actual dents and dings, nothing. They are phenomenal. Again, another Leatherman, pure A plus. No issues with this whatsoever. Fit and finish on this tool is phenomenal. Some people don't like that it has the cap crimper here, but I actually use that for small electrical crimps. I've not had any issues with it. And then these needle nose pliers they're phenomenal. They don't have the replaceable cutters. I think they might now, but I got it back when the replaceable cutters were only on the Surge. So, and I've used these ones as well, and there's no damage to these. So whatever heat treat they do on these cutters is very good, but also A plus. This I actually have a couple of mixed feelings with. So this is the second one that I've had. And the reason is, like, this one fit and finish has been good, but the first one, these actually over tightened just by using it, just opening and closing, and it broke right off, and I could not fix it. The other thing that I've had issues with is these little butt caps here. They actually kind of turn and tweak if these get even remotely loose. So there's like a little bit of a gap. And so fit and finish, I would probably give this a A minus. Like, it's still really, really good. It's just not as good as, I would say, the Leatherman, these two Leathermans, or the Swiss tool. The SOG, solid B. I mean, for what it is, it's definitely not the worst one I have, but there's a lot more play here. They do line up. The edges are round, except for these daggers for the gears. The needle nose pliers are good. Not much play. I actually would say there's no play in the pliers, surprisingly. Even this way, a lot of people claim that they feel a little bit of wiggle because of these gear systems, but I've had no issues. So I'd give this a solid B, which is good because I'm pretty harsh on ratings. The only reason I didn't bring some of the other cheaper multi-tools up is because I would consider them all D or F grade. Their fit and finish on them is poor, and I wouldn't trust it to be my only multi-tool. All right, so with the sheaths that I have them in, I think these two Leatherman are the best. I thought I'd really like this with the SOG because it's hard plastic, it's nice, it fits perfectly, and it's molded. There's one major flaw, and that is leaving these gears exposed. If this was covered at the bottom and it was solid plastic, I would probably prefer this sheath or this carrier, because having that like molded snap-in feel with anything is just delightful. But if you want to scratch up a car or any chair you sit in, or, I mean, these things are dangerous. You are going to know everywhere you go because you'll follow the scrapes. Which is actually one of the reasons I stopped carrying this. I carried it for a while, but man, I put some scratches in my car and on my seats, and sitting on a wooden chair, and it just wrecked it. It tore my office chair. These are dangerous. So that's a big flaw in this one. Otherwise, it's a really nice sheath. But leather, always good. I actually prefer these sheaths over these ones. The elastic on here, I don't like the elastic. I wish it was just solid leather. But for the 300, it works perfect. And this is it's a good quality nylon sheath, but it's just a standard sheath. Standard nylon sheath, nothing too special. It fits the tool perfectly well. The snap has been great, but nothing to write home about. So, knives. The other big thing that I look at is knife, right? Knife is probably going to be one of the more used tools. standard knife out. I don't want the serrated one. Some of these are one-handed opening. All right, so knives. Which knife is my least favorite knife? Swiss Army, Victorinox. This knife in a pen blade or a full-size multi-tool, it just doesn't cut it for me. All the other ones are a lot thicker. They've got a nicer point. It feels like you're carrying a knife. This feels like somebody attached a toothpick to a full-size multi-tool. The shape is fine. It works great. It works like any other Swiss Army tool, knife, but for a full-size multi-tool, if I could only have one, I need a more of a heavy-duty knife. Locks up well, extremely sharp, easy to sharpen because it's a pretty soft steel from Victorinox. But I would say this is my least favorite knife. So if I was going to accompany this with a pocket knife, yeah, good option. But if it's my only tool, I don't think I'd pick that. I like the shape of this knife, but I think it's like either a 440 or an 8CR, 13 MOV steel, and it can get sharp, good shape, a little thin, but actually not all that bad. It's got a lot of wiggle in this knife blade though, so there's some confidence going on there that I'm not real fond of. These are very reminiscent of each other. The rebar being a much shorter tool, same shape. It's got a little cutout here, but overall same shape. Pretty decent thickness for being a multi-tool blade on both of these. And the nice thing about this is that thickness goes all the way to the tip right before it kind of drops off. So this one's actually pretty nice. It's a lot heavier duty than you might think, being so kind of narrow, both of these. In terms of actually cutting use, both the same. They're the same steel. I believe they're the 420 HC, which Leatherman typically uses. So I would say those are roughly the same. These are really the best contenders, right? One, they're one hand opening. The blade shape is good. They're both good looking. This is a 420 HC, which is great. This is, though, a specialty S30V. The only issue I have with S30V, especially on this tool, is it's very chippy. So you hit anything hard, you're going to chip this knife. You may even be able to see some damage that I've done just about here. I can feel it when I rub my fingers over it. I cut a zip tie and it chipped that tip because that grind is pretty fine. I was able to repair most of it, but it holds an edge well. S30V is great steel, maybe just a little brittle. But if I only had one knife, I would prefer S30V over 420 HC because it's just going to last a lot longer, and a chip here or there is not really going to affect the overall performance, from my experience. It's not a perfect edge, and if you're a knife nerd, maybe it's going to give you some anxiety, but I don't mind it all that much. I have a lot of working blades with massive chips, and guess what? They cut rope, and they cut boxes, and they cut tape, and they cut all kinds of plastic and all that perfectly fine. No issues at all. All right, so knife blade, I actually choose this one. This is my first rank. Second, this is actually my third. My third rank is going to be this kind of long, narrow knife blade, and then this, and then this, and then Victorinox being in last place. So there you go. Let's take a look at some of their other tools. I'm probably going to do this in more of an overall because I don't want to compare every single tool individually. So you can kind of see their tool sets. I'm going to fan these out just a little bit. So the next big thing that I typically use is going to be screwdrivers. So I'm going to pull some of these screwdrivers out here. I'm actually not going to make you watch me do all this. So I'm going to pull these out and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. And my poor knuckles, man, pulling all those tools out, those things flinging and cutting me. Whew. So moving forward, I'm actually going to take this off screen because the charge is going to be the same tool sets. So kind of overview of tool set here. file, couple of screwdrivers, all serrated blade, can opener, bottle opener, and saw. The tools all on here are good. File is good, both sides, both the crosshatch and the slant. The actual screwdrivers, everything is very good. The 3D Phillips here, the saw, everything works very well. I have no complaints about these tools. I actually prefer that they are fixed and they're not adjustable. Similar to like the kind of the bit drivers that you may see. I actually like the fixed tools. I think they just feel stronger, more sturdy, less moving parts to deal with. Sure, if they break, they're broken. You can't really easily replace them, but at that point, you just reach out to Leatherman and see what they can do to help. No issues with any of these tools. The Victorinox has an amazing tool set. So I actually put the blades away on all of these. I love Swiss Army tool sets. The only one that I have a problem with is this serrated blade. I mean, it works okay, but it's more of like a butter knife than a serrated blade. There are definitely better serrated options, like the blade on the Leatherman here. That serration is much better. Even the serration on the rebar is better. It's got a very butter knifey texture. It cuts, but it's not as efficient. So I would say the only issue I have with these tools is the knives are subpar in almost every capacity. The screwdriver's fantastic. Bottle opener, I mean, can opener's legendary. This little chisel tool has come in handy. I wouldn't pry super hard, but it's technically a pry tool, but maybe paint cans at most, or prying apart plastic pieces or something. I've used it for paint cans. It works totally fine. The wire strippers on this work perfectly fine. All the tools are very good. The awl is very sharp and pointy. The screwdriver, again, being fairly 3D. This little guy here, it's more for poking and prodding. I actually would say it's almost on the same level as the awl. I've never really had a use for this in screwdrivers. This screwdriver or this chisel tend to be able to do both. And then I also have this little screwdriver on this can opener. So I've not really found a dedicated use for this aside from just poking and prodding. I may at some point, if I damage that, just make it into another pointy object like the awl. You should never poke and prod enough. Saw or the file works very well. It's got just two crosshatch and then the metal saw, little metal file down here. It's like a metal saw, I guess. Works very well. Works on sheet metal pretty well, or softer steel or softer metals like aluminum. I used this actually to fix one of my firearm dust covers because it wasn't fitting properly, and so I used this to file it off. And they all lock kind of like you would expect with a normal, it has a little bit of wiggle, but nothing too crazy. This, though, is for the size of tool. All of these tools, I would almost say that they were a medium duty multi-tool. Given the size and weight, it kind of is like a heavy duty multi-tool, but given the tools themselves and the pins and the little itty bitty kind of standard little springs that are in the lock, don't know if you can see the springs in there, but the lock isn't super heavy duty, so it's kind of the weak link, honestly. The quality is great, but the heavy dutiness of versus the size, I think, is lacking in the Victorinox. SOG, I would say this has the weakest of the tool sets. Probably not a surprise. The saw works for softer woods. The file is absolutely useless. I mean, there is no texture on either of these. It's basically a smooth piece of metal. It's just bad. They put hashes on the bottom like it's going to cut something. It's not. This is just wasted space, to be honest. Well, I almost cut myself on that knife. I didn't because it's not that sharp. The rest of the tools, this little itty bitty screwdriver, the can opener, subpar. A dedicated glasses screwdriver, I have mixed feelings. Again, poking, prodding tool, it's fine, but as a screwdriver, not really all that useful. The awl, though, this punch is savage. This punch is like a tiger's tooth, man. That is the sharpest part of this whole tool. I actually really like that. Everything else though, pretty standard. Nothing too crazy. Nothing awesome. This shape blade is good. It's pretty sharp, but it's going to be a low quality steel like the blade, probably a 440A or something along those lines. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sharp, but meh, so. This probably has my favorite tool set, the 300. I would have a surge up here if I had one. I might end up picking the surge up again because I really like the surge. Every tool on here is a home run for me. The only thing this is missing that I feel like I would like to see are scissors, but that's going to add bulk. And I'll be honest, I carry the Swiss Army standard kind of classic in my pocket, so scissors aren't really that big of a deal. And I have a feeling if you're going to really use this, those scissors are going to go dull or break quickly anyway. So aside from the scissors missing, this is probably my favorite tool set. Has very heavy duty feeling, similar to the rebar kind of covered where everything is solid. It's all fixed. It feels sturdy. You feel like you can get work done. It's very nice. They have a lot of flathead screwdrivers, which I feel like maybe you could have kind of gotten rid of one, maybe even two, and kept this kind of middle one and put scissors in. I don't know. Maybe a little too many flatheads for me, but again, home run all around. All right, so I kind of already gave that away, but these probably have my favorite tool sets. And if I had to pick between these two, these have my favorite tool sets. All right. Finishes. This black oxide, very nice. But Victorinox does the black oxide better. This tool has been through the ringer. It's been in my pocket. It's kind of got a shinier black oxide, whereas this is more of like a painted kind of flat black oxide. Both surprisingly stand up well, but if black oxide wise, Victorinox knocks it out of the park. It's just a cooler, kind of a silvery, shiny black oxide. They did a really good job, although Leatherman's great. All right, so here is the big moment, right? If I could only choose one of these tools as my only multi-tool moving forwards, what would it be? Well, we all know it's not going to be a SOG. It's a decent entry-level multi-tool. It's got its cool little nifty features. A really nice case, but not that. Rebar, it's a good multi-tool, but it is not as capable as the others. It's a little bit cheaper, lower quality, and for some reason my OCD just does not let me get over that misalignment. So if this was a higher end version, higher materials, S30V shape and everything, form factor wise, this is great. Not it. So what do we have left? I have a feeling that these three would probably be top contenders for most people in the multi-tool space. You've got kind of one of the primary three from the ages, right? So you have Super Tool 300, Swiss Tool, and the Leatherman Charge TTI. Sorry, Victorinox, great tool, very snappy, very good fit and finish. You feel good, give me the fizz when I hold you, but your knives are weak, your lock is questionable, and I would not trust that you would survive the test of time. I think the quality is there, but I think I'd break you. Form factor wise, fit finish, quality, tool sets, these are the top. I like the one-handed opening. The knife blade on this is great. Both knife blades, honestly, are fantastic. The saw is good. Fit and finish is good. Gotta love titanium. Actually, surprisingly, a little bit heavier than you'd expect. The locks are good. All that. It's got a lot of moving parts, though. It's got a lot of little itty bitty bits and things and stuff, and maybe it's a little too much stuff. All the springs and pivots and so many different parts to make it work. I do like the safety torque, so you can fix this There's a lot of parts. There's a lot of little itty bitty things that could go wrong. Maybe one piece of lint too thick and you're going to have troubles getting these tools out, right? If you don't have nails, maybe you're going to have some trouble getting here. Here, it's clamshell, it's classic, but you're not getting any outside excess tools. All your access is going to be inside. But do you care? I don't. I don't really care. If I'm going to grab my multi-tool, one, I'm going to get work done. But two, I enjoy using this tool. They both feel very nice. So, charge TTI, you're gone. Leatherman Super Tool 300 is the one that I would pick. If I'm crossing the world, if I'm going to Antarctica, which someday I hope to at least do a cruise there. I'm not that hardcore, guys, come on. If I am overlanding on my motorcycle, if I'm actually doing real work, I would choose the Super Tool 300. It gives me not only the fizz, but it's simple, it's very capable, it feels heavy duty, the materials are good, the 420HC blades are stout enough. I can carve with this. Sure, you're not going to get, super close in the cuts because of you're not going to be able to use the back half of that blade because this, but, I've actually used it like this before and you get a good reach. So you can just hold it a little bit and you'll have a little bit hanging out the back of your hand. Not elegant, but it works totally fine. I've used it for food that way, no problem. Still locks. If you're carving, it's long enough, it's sharp enough, it's pointy enough, it's stout enough to do all EDC tasks. You're not going to want a baton with it. So, guys, if I had to recommend or choose a single tool and get rid of all my other multi-tools, I would choose the Leatherman Super Tool 300. Black oxide or silver, I don't think matters. I actually like the silver a lot. Leatherman's stainless is really nice. It feels really good. So I'm not partial to the black oxide. It just happens to be what I have. But this is the winner. Let me know if you guys disagree. Let me know if you think maybe I need to give the Surge another try, because a lot of people swear by the Surge as well for the overbuilt heavy duty version kind of the Wave or the Charge. Let me know what you think. Is there things I wasn't considering that maybe I should reconsider? Are there tools here? Have you had issues with a 300? Are there situations that you've been in that 300 maybe isn't the best fit? It ain't gonna fit in a pocket, so you definitely have to belt carry this bad boy, but for somebody who carries all this other stuff, not a big deal. So let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments, or if there's another multi-tool you think I should take a look at and maybe do a comparison. So this stays king, guys. Super Tool 300. Capable, durable, good quality, lifetime tool. All right. There you go. That's the tool I pick. Have a good one.